Hi, I'm Leigh-Chantelle from VivaLaVegan.net, and today I'm here with Dr. Carol Glasser, and she's going to answer a few questions today for us. How are you, Carol? Good, thank you. And so tell me, what does Dr. Carol Glasser mean?
Dr. Carol Glasser means that I have a PhD in sociology, and specifically I focus my studies in gender inequality, race inequality, and social movements.
Oh, cool. That's great. So all the things that I'm passionate about as well, and in one. That's great. And so how do you get that across to the mainstream people?
There's a number of different ways that I've been working on doing it over the past few years. So I publish academically, and I work to publish in venues that are open access journals, so anyone can read them, but sometimes that doesn't happen. And when that doesn't happen, I make sure that anyone who asks me can get a copy of my work. I also publish non-academically, so I keep a blog.
Yeah,
and
what was that blog?
It's Vegina. .wordpress.com, and that's a feminist vegan blog. And so that one is non-academic, but of course my ideas are formed by having the privilege of spending a lot of time being able to read books. And then I work professionally as well as the research director at the Humane Research Council, which is an organization dedicated to compiling research, holding a database of research, and working that talks about animal rights and animal protection issues, as well as conducting our own research and conducting research for other animal advocacy organizations.
Yeah, that's great. And so when you say the journals, like the online journals, what's a good example of one?
Well, my personal favorite, because I'm on the editorial staff, is the Journal for Critical Animal Studies. There's an Institute for Critical Animal Studies, and that's international. And there's Animals in Society as well, is a journal for the Animals in Society Institute, and they do human animal studies.
Cool. So you have to have a look at those. And so myself and yourself, we both class ourselves as feminists. So what does a feminist mean to you in this day and age?
Well, in this day and age, I think that feminism is a very important label, because I think that the women's movement came far enough for it to look like women were being treated equally, but that's not actually how it is. We live in a society where there's internationally and globally, particularly on a global level, there's a lot of sexual violence, and women have a lot less than their male counterparts. But I think that being a feminist also means, it means the same thing to me as being an animal liberation activist. It means that you believe in equality for everyone, and you believe in total liberation, and that no one should be subjected to the power of others against their will.
Exactly. Same thing with me. Like, I'm a vegan, and it just relates to everything else. I'm interested in like environmentalism, social justice issues, feminism, just everything, third world issues, every single thing. I think veganism is a great way just to stand up against everything that you feel strongly about, and to say this is what I believe in, and this is how I'm doing it. And do you see there's much of a link between veganism and feminism?
I do. I actually became vegan because of my feminism. So I started learning about animals, and slowly I stopped eating different animals. And I had a moment where I connected with a baby calf while I was eating an ice cream cone, and saw his mother. And just before that, I had read Sexual Politics of Meat by Carol Adams, because someone said to me, if you were a real feminist, you would be vegan. And I think it is true. And I had never met a vegan before, and I said, what is this idea of veganism? Which is surprising, because this was only about 5 years ago. So I picked up the book, it made a lot of sense, and I started talking about it, and about a week later I met this calf, and I was eating the ice cream cone, and I saw his mother chained up, but separated from him, and it all clicked. And so I realized to actually live my values as a feminist, I couldn't exploit other animals. And then I learned how the animal exploitation industry, or I guess I learned with Sexual Politics of Meat, but then I really began to think about how the animal exploitation industry is really focused on exploiting female-bodied individuals, and so
95%, isn't it? Something like that?
I am not sure the exact number, but that's the number that I've heard.
I think, I've heard 95% of all animals killed and abused our animal products are females. Yeah, so that's sad, like chickens, cows, everything. Yeah. And so how do you think people should be promoting veganism and feminism? Do you think they should be promoted together or separately? What do you think?
Well,
I know it's because we both agree with that we would think that they should be combined, but what do you think about for the general public?
Well, I think that that's a tough one. I think that they should both be promoted simultaneously, but I also think that people can only receive so many messages at a time, and if people embrace one of these ideas, they're more likely to embrace the other. So when I do vegan outreach, I don't do feminist outreach, but I do make sure that I don't exploit women in the process of doing any of my animal advocacy or any of my advocacy on behalf of women. I also do advocacy on behalf of people in my community that are disenfranchised, and I just try my very hardest not to use any language that is oppressive and not to embrace the oppression of any other group while I'm doing my work. And if the connection comes up organically in conversation, I do not hesitate to discuss it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of people, because we're so ingrained to use these types of you know, the negative types of explaining an animal or in a female in comparison to an animal, they're all negative. And it's just so ingrained in a lot of people's language that it is hard to sometimes break those things. But I think the more that people do it, and the more that someone says, oh, why did you use that term? And you explain it to them, I think that has the potential to change a lot of people's ways that they deal with people.
I mean,
and language, yeah.
I think language is one of these ways that a culture holds on to its oppression.
Yeah.
So it can say, so in the United States, we say a lot of things about how we're not racist or, you know, slavery's over, but we still use some of the same idioms and terms that came from the time of slavery or from more oppressive times in terms of exploiting women.
Definitely. What else do you get involved with the animals? Do you do any activism? Or?
I do. So I volunteer on the editorial staff of the Journal for Critical Animal Studies, and that's sort of my free academic work that I try to do. And then I'm also on the board of directors of a newly formed nonprofit organization in Los Angeles called Band of Mercy. And I think that oftentimes there's too many organizations in one area, but what I really like about this organization that just started is that it's not focused on doing our own thing. It's focused on finding out what other people are doing, finding out where campaigns need help, campaigns that have been going on for a year or 2 years, and bringing ourselves in to help out and do things like run protests so we can give those hardworking organizers a break and give the campaign more life again. So we're dedicated to doing that, and we also do a number of other things that we think are important for the community. So as our main fundraiser this year, we put together a vegan guide, because we don't have a good one for the Los Angeles area, surprisingly. So that's just a practical thing that we do. And then we also, so that we're directly involved with animals, and remember that we're in this to help other animals. We have a required number of volunteer hours at sanctuaries every month, and we do a lot of protesting. And then on my own, I organize a campaign against the lobster zone game.
I don't know about that.
There's a game that's popular, I think, internationally. It has stuffed animals in a big box, and you put in money and you use a joystick, and it pulls down a big crate to pick up a stuffed animal. And here they have it with live lobsters instead of stuffed animals.
Oh my god, that's horrible.
So it is very horrible. And so I've been in a campaign for about 8 months, and I think we've gotten 4 removed from restaurants, and we're going to keep going. We're building a database. A lot of lawyers actually are volunteering to look up any laws these might be in violation of. We're running protests at places that aren't removing the game, and then I try to help out on any protests I hear of. Anything that's against HLS,
What's HLS?
Huntington Life Sciences. And so for anyone who doesn't know Huntington Life Sciences, I think they're now the 2nd largest contract animal testing facility in the country. So if I ever hear of a protest against any of their companies and I'm free, I'll show up and lend my voice to that.
Yeah, great. So good. Well, it's really great to meet as a like-minded person, Carol, and you can have a look at Carol's websites, Vegina,
vegina.wordpress.com.
And what's the humane one?
Humanespotorg. It's a really great resource for free research for advocates and activists.
And it's a great way to get involved to the research that's already out there and to utilise it to spread the word.
Yep.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
And see peopleavegan.net for more information.